Who's actually going to get real benefit out of a commercial-grade dehumidifier? And who would be better off putting that money toward a smaller unit or even a simple vent? Is the Dri-Eaz LGR 5000Li worth the price tag for a homeowner who just wants to keep a damp basement dry? Or does it belong in the toolbox of contractors, restoration crews, and facilities managers who need to move a lot of moisture quickly? Those are the questions that keep most people on the fence, and the answer isn't as simple as bigger is better. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Before I even pulled the box out of the warehouse, I dug through a handful of forum threads, watched a couple of YouTube walkthroughs from professional water damage crews, and asked a couple of HVAC techs what they look for when they recommend a unit for a job site. What kept coming up was the same set of concerns. How easy the machine is to move upstairs, how much water it can actually extract in a real basement or a construction trailer, how noisy it gets when you're trying to run a conversation, and whether the built-in pump will actually get the water out without you having to be on call 24/7. The LGR 5000Li ticks a lot of those boxes, but it also brings a few trade-offs that you need to weigh before you click Add to Cart. Let's start with the environment where this unit shines. Imagine you're a restoration professional arriving at a flood-damaged house. The walls are saturated, the carpet is soaked, and the air feels thick with humidity. You need something that can pull out a large volume of moisture quickly without draining the site's limited power supply, and you have to move the machine from the first floor to the attic in a matter of minutes. The LGR 5000Li is designed for exactly that scenario. It can pull up to 164 pints of water out of the air each day, which translates to roughly 19 gallons. In a typical flooded basement, that rate can bring the humidity down from the mid-80s to a comfortable 50% range in under 24 hours, assuming you keep the doors closed and the air moving. The built-in pump is a real time saver. It can push water up to 25 feet vertically or across 150 feet horizontally, meaning you can run a hose straight to a floor drain or a utility sink without having to constantly tip the unit to empty a bucket. For crews that have to juggle multiple jobs in a day, that alone justifies the higher price tag. Now, let's talk about a more everyday situation. A homeowner dealing with a damp basement that started to smell musty, or a garage that's turned into a sauna after a rainy season. The LGR 5000Li will absolutely do the job, but you have to ask yourself whether you need a machine that can pull 164 pints a day when you're only dealing with maybe 3,040 pints of excess moisture. A smaller residential unit that moves 7,080 pints a day would usually be enough, and it would cost a fraction of the price and take up less floor space. The LGR's rugged steel housing and heavy-duty casters make it portable, but it still weighs close to 150 pounds, so moving it up a single flight of stairs is doable, but you'll probably need a second set of hands. If you're the kind of buyer who wants to set the unit and forget about it, you might find the extra heft a hassle compared to a lighter home use model. Practical strengths are where the LGR really stands out. First, the quiet claim isn't just marketing fluff. The unit draws only about 5 amps, and because it uses a low-speed compressor, the sound level stays in the low 70s decibels range. That's comparable to a dishwasher running in the next room, so you can run it overnight in a living space without disturbing sleep. Second, the durability is noticeable the moment you open the door. The chassis feels like a piece of industrial equipment that could survive a drop from a truck bed, and the internal components are sealed to prevent dust and mold from getting in. For anyone who works on construction sites, that kind of ruggedness translates into less downtime for repairs. Third, the digital humidity controller is intuitive. You set your target relative humidity, and the unit cycles on and off automatically, so you don't have to keep an eye on a dial. The pump automatically engages when the water tank hits the full threshold, pushing the liquid out without you having to manually empty the reservoir. In practice, that means a contractor can walk away and come back to a dry basement rather than a flooded floor. On the flip side, there are a few weaknesses that matter once the unit is in your daily routine. The biggest complaint I've heard from the field is the size of the water hose connection. It uses an inch inlet, which is standard for commercial units, but it can be a pain to attach if you're trying to connect to a tight, existing drain.